Yo, grinders, what's up? How you doing out there? Welcome to the Gaming Grindhouse, what grinds my gears. And you know, as you can see from the title, we're going to be talking about my favorite franchise, Perfect Dark, or my once favorite franchise, the franchise that is definitely no more. Just now, as we're sitting here thinking that the news that I shared about a week ago, that Crystal Dynamics could not find another publisher to help salvage this game and had to do with the long-term ownership of the IP. Crystal Dynamics was seeking out Rockstar 2K to fund it, and due to the long-term ownership disputes, Microsoft will not allow it. Who knows what happened behind the scenes, but apparently Crystal Dynamics had to lay off the rest of their staff and really destroy and just end the Perfect Dark franchise. We come here now to another part of the Perfect Dark franchise, another chapter closed, and has to do with the talent that is left from the fallout of the shutting down of the initiative. So we'll get into that now. But grinders, hit that like button, share it out, subscribe to the Gaming Grindhouse. These are typical podcast, goes on Monday nights at 8 o'clock. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we do the Grinds Bites throughout the week, and then we do these What Grinds My Gears or What Greases My Gears. So these are the shorter videos, plus the only place to get the exclusive, incredible gaming music that you may hear around the videos. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the latest news that comes out of the Perfect Dark saga of a game that was and never was, is that Darrell Gallagher, the head of the initiative, has basically said he is leaving Xbox. His time at Xbox has come to a close. His tweet out here says, "After an incredible journey, my time at Xbox has come to a close with the wind down of Perfect Dark and the initiative," studio that he was hired to do. Now, David Gallagher came from the Rise of the Tomb Raider, the Lara Croft, the remakes of the Tomb Raider. He, Crystal Dynamics had a close relationship with them. Started up this studio when Microsoft started the initiative in 2018. They hired him to lead it as the head of the initiative. And then after a few years of working and recruiting and getting Drew Murray, who then went back to Insomniac after coming from Insomniac, went back for Spider-Man 2. And ever since Drew Murray left, it kind of just kept falling apart, and the initiative needed help with Crystal Dynamics, and that's how the story goes. And then Microsoft just kiboshed the whole thing and killed the franchise. But one of the biggest things is that he is not being retained at all at Xbox, and that's where this came. Like, he's not going to another studio or working on anything else. So that's where this comes as such a huge talent. I remember when he was part of it, everybody's like, this guy's, oh man, this is crazy that he's working here. But we've seen this many times before. We've seen it when Mass Effect had Casey Hudson came by, and he did nothing. He came from BioWare, and he came from Microsoft, and he was Casey Hudson's here, and he's going to make it, he Mass Effect fame, and he's going to come here. Shout out to Craig, tech guy. He always wants to talk about Mass Effect. There you go. We turned it into a Mass Effect story. There you go, man. Shout out to you. So to continue with Darrell Gallagher saying, he says, "I couldn't be proud of the talent and passionate team I had the privilege of assembling. Together, we set out to reimagine an iconic franchise and put creativity, craft, and dedication into every step of the way. The public reception and excitement for what we were building has been inspiring and deeply appreciated by all of us. While this chapter is ending sooner than hoped, the spirit, talent, and achievements of the team we will live on and beyond the project. I am grateful for Xbox for the opportunity, to our partners and their support, to the community for their belief in what we're creating." The community is specified, not Xbox, because Xbox had no belief in what they were creating, because they would have continued it. Nah. That's the thing. The community, us, the people that wanted to see a Perfect Dark game. I liked what I saw, even though it may have been some fake demo or whatever it is on rails that, if they get off the path, it would be changed. But I liked what I saw of Perfect Dark. I thought that was great because they never embraced Perfect Dark. Like, they kind of used the GameCube game with the launch of the 360. Then they just redid 1080p, remastered the original N64 game, and really never did anything with this franchise, like with all the other Rare franchises, which is, besides Perfect Dark, my other biggest one is Conquer, which, forget about that. Forget about it. What are we doing here? Rare's making Sea of Thieves updates. That's what they're doing. They're building in new islands for everybody. I leave nothing. Let's continue back to Darrell Gallagher here. I leave nothing but pride in what we accomplished together and excitement for what's next. For both myself and the amazing developers I was fortunate enough to work with, here's to new adventures and celebrating the journey we've shared. So as you could see, one of the things that came up during Grindhouse lore, and we're talking about the consolidation and Microsoft just buying all these publishers, because this came from a time when Microsoft tried to build. Xbox was trying to create a studio for quadruple A, they said, and create it from scratch, hire the best talent. They were alluded to the Avengers of game developers would just go into initiative. I remember when the initiative was recruiting. Oh, wow, they got this talent. They got this guy from Rock. They got this guy from GTA. They got this guy from Sony. They were even plucking a lot of the Sony people after they worked on God of War, after they worked on Horizon. Like, they got a lot of the talent from some of those Sony studios. Their location was in Santa Monica. So they were grabbing some of the talent. I remember when the initiative was growing, it was like, yo, he's heading this thing off, and from fame of the Tomb Raider series, and they've been grabbing the talents from these AAA studios that Sony has, the creme de la creme. And it was like the Avengers studio. But the problem came out with Jason Schreier did an article, and he said that, it was management. The heads, like, people didn't know what they were making. Were they making a huge game? Were they making an indie game? The devs wanted to make a big one. The heads wanted to make a small one. Like, it was this dichotomy of what the game should be. And I believe a lot of that influence came from when you see Booty clapping around in the streets, scoping and making sure the game is a fit for the subscription model, as we've covered in previous videos, where you see that the influence of what a Game Pass development will be, and the budgets and all that other stuff, and what these games should be. There was a lot of back and forth, and it was just a mismanagement, disagreement. People left. Drew Murray left. He went back to Spider-Man 2, back to Insomniac. And now the thing is we said this about consolidation, is that the talent is not staying. So now they'll sit here with this IP, but the talent is leaving. And Microsoft had massive layoffs, and a lot of people left, from Blizzard to Call of Duties to from Activision, from all the people over at the ZeniMax studios, and we're just seeing the talent just being purged. And what is left is a skeleton of IP that, will it ever be used? And if it is used, is the talent there to make it the best it can be? And it's like, on paper, it's like, wow, look at all the stuff they own. But when you look at what they really have, it's like, who's making this stuff? And when you went to go see, probably keep this franchise alive, Microsoft said, no, put the kibosh on it. But one of the things that stood out in the article from Darrell Gallagher leaving, and Microsoft not kind of repurposing him and putting him in working with another studio or keeping him around, that he's gone completely from Xbox, that basically he's leaving after the initiative was closed up. They're not going to repurpose him or put him somewhere and retain the talent. So you lost the future of the franchise and the game development, but the guy can make action adventure games. Why don't we put him on something else and keep him working there? Maybe have him do a different studio or do something else. Nope, he is gone. So this is crazy here, where when the Perfect Dark podcast was officially canceled over 2 months ago, but Gallagher only formally announced his departure from the initiative now, as Jason Schreier reported earlier this month, there was a last-ditch effort to save the project by selling the game rights to Take-Two. Unfortunately, no agreement was ever reached. Between Take-Two and Microsoft. It was Take-Two, not 2K, but Take-Two, sorry. And you could not find they cannot find common ground on who will remain the long-term owner of the storied franchise, which again, Perfect Dark was great, but Rare made it great. And the thing is Microsoft really never did anything with Perfect Dark to enhance the franchise. That's why I was very surprised when the initiative was created. They said, you're going to make Perfect Dark. I was like, whoa, wow. So we do believe. Well, I guess that was a fallacy. And what's crazy is the next paragraph. Gallagher was the studio head of the initiative for 7.5 years. Good job, Phil.
Think I'd have to go back and look at that.
7.5 years working, and they shut it down. Just think about that. You work 7.5 years with nothing to show. Yeah, I worked at a defunct studio. It's not around anymore. The game, there's no output. There's nothing to demonstrate how he could lead the studio. Can he lead a studio? I don't know. You worked 7.5 years and your project was pulled from you. That's your CV. That's your resume. That is detrimental for the industry, like for them, for their CVs, for their future. Like, you worked 7.5 years. Before that, he worked at Sony, Rockstar, THQ, and Crystal Dynamics. And I'm sure that's where all his games came from. And I'm sure he probably did that in about 7 years and probably had more output to demonstrate from him there. But he worked 7.5 years, have nothing to show for it. He began as a director of art and then promoted to the studio head, leading the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy, which is the main reason he was picked to reboot Perfect Dark. Between Crystal Dynamics and the initiative, he worked 2 years at Activision as senior VP and head of development. He is credited for Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, Call of Duty World War II, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Destiny 2, Skylanders Imaginators, and Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. How are those games? Span 8 years, maybe? All that without being part of Microsoft. As soon as he was sucked into being an Xbox Microsoft employee, 7.5 years, no game. What are we doing here, Phil?
Where that box is in the news.
You're not pulling that with me.
I don't know.
What did the big booty Bobby say? Satya, you're not a creative company. You shouldn't be in gaming. That's not what you do. You do office. You're not a creative company. And if this is not an example of how they can mismanage and misperform on a game, on a franchise that they owned from Rare back in 2005, 2008, 2009, like around there. They've owned this franchise since the launch of the 360. And you can't even get a game out. And you let this guy work on it for 7.5 years. Announce the game at the Game Awards. Show it last year. It's crazy. After Where's This Game, they show it last year, and Phil's sitting there with Ryan McCaffrey, and he's like, oh, it's right down the street. All the devs are looking at it. They were checking it out. And what happened? Shut it down. $4 trillion company. No thanks. There was even a fallout that they were trying to get another company to save their franchise, to save the game. He was still around, maybe even to assist with Take-Two. Nope. We even squashed that. So how do we believe that they still even care about gaming? They could say it. They could show up at all their events and FanFest and give out all the swag. But this is pretty crazy. And the fact that they can't repurpose him and they don't want to put him anywhere else because the talent is what's so valuable. The IP is great, but the talent, and seeing how much talent has been excommunicated laid off from Microsoft since the consolidations is crazy. And it gives you a head scratch to go, they got all this IP. It's an IP warehouse. Who Who is going to make this stuff? Who? Are they going to farm it out? Are they going to say, hey, you over there, indie dev, third party, in the little studio, independent studio. Hey, would you like to work on Battletoads? Dahlia Studios? Like, is that the kind of future that they're going to have? And they're just going to be this publishing house of just Call of Duties and ZeniMax games? Because that's what it looks like. It looks like, I don't know what they're going to do with all this IP. And Perfect Dark, of all the IP that I cherish the most, is really gone dark. It's gone dark. And that's it. Like, it had a last ditch effort here. And Gallagher gone. 7.5 years of this. Mismanagement from the top. Misdirection. How many pivots Microsoft has made with its Game Pass. It's in Game Pass. We're buying studios. We're going to build studios from scratch and create these things. We're going to build nothing. Announce this game at the Game Awards, the biggest stage. Then show gameplay, what it was gameplay, an engine, whatever it was going to be. Just to cancel it the next year and really cancel it. Like, cancel it twice. Not only do you say Initiative Crystal Dynamics, we're done with you, we're shutting it down. Crystal Dynamics went to go try to salvage this game, and that's why he sticked around for another couple of months. And they said, "No, Take-Two, nah, we own it. We're not giving it to you. Long-term ownership of the IP." I would say Microsoft had it for a long time. You're not doing any good by Perfect Dark, Microsoft. You've had it since the 360. You've done nothing with it. Why don't you just let the game survive and let this franchise try to do something? You know, you think about it, a first-person espionage spy game. You know, we're seeing with the hype for Bond. You know, it is definitely future tech, some spy, some things. We don't get a Deus Ex anymore. That's another franchise that was lost due to consolidation. Thank you, Tencent. Thank you, Tencent. Yeah, you.
I don't know.
Consolidations again, or whatever it is. What was it? Tencent or the other one? Embracer Group. One of those fools messed up that one. But there you go. So we don't have anything like that in the first person. So, yet again, franchises die, IP's done, and Microsoft stomped on Perfect Dark with 2 foot stomps, left and the right, and made sure that it never exists. And Gallagher, he's going to go do something else. And I would love to track and see what his next steps are. Whether he goes back to Crystal Dynamics, probably not. Whether he creates his own studio now from scratch and comes out with a game. I want to see if it takes him 7.5 years and he don't come out with something when he has all these other games and all these other studios that he worked for and he had output. And 7.5 years with nothing. So wish him luck. Darrell Gallagher, good luck. And, as expected, Xbox and their management, once again.
Oh no! We suck again!
And that's what grinds my gears. Thank you again, Grinders. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the Gaming Grindhouse. More content coming your way. More videos, podcasts, music, and more. Thanks again, everybody. Good night. Comment down below. What do you think about Darrell Gallagher and the end of the Perfect Dark series? Who knows what's going to happen? I think it's done. Go back, put it back into the vault because that's where it is. Perfect Dark has gone dark. Probably forever. Thanks again, Grinders. Comment down below. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the Gaming Grindhouse as we grow and get more music, entertainment, in your home for all the fun emojis, music, and more. Thanks again, everybody. Good night.